Hey, no. Hi and welcome. I don't know why I started speaking Swedish all of a sudden. Welcome to this English video about my shamanic toolbox. We have reached the point of incense. So I was planning, or I was considering maybe put incense and plant medicine and all of that into one video, but I want these videos to be quite short, so I decided to keep this video only on the topic of incense and how I uh, use it or that sort of thing. So I want to start by saying that I use different kind of incense, and I also use like sprays, which I almost kind of put in the same category. And I found some. So I'm not gonna show you all of my like my entire cabinet of incense today. I'm gonna show you a few different kinds, and I'm gonna speak a little bit about them because the thing is, I think you should discover the world of incense yourself. So I want to start by saying that when it comes to these this kind, let's see if I can take one out. This kind of incense. I want you to be mindful of the fact that it's not always that healthy to breathe in these kinds of incense. So it depends on what it's made of, and it depends on if you burn it outdoors or indoors and that sort of thing. So I have a few. I haven't bought any new incense in 4 or 5 years. I think it was 2019 and now it's 2024 because I remember being at a fair in uh, the middle of autumn or fall, depending on which English-speaking country you're from. Uh, I think it was October in 2019, and I bought some incense. This one was one of them. So this is one of my favorite scents, but I don't know enough about the brand to talk about the brand. So this is Dragon's Blood. So when it comes to these, I do have some favorites, and I like incense sticks and maybe cones. So I have an ambition to try and make some cones of my own in the near future. I saw someone on Instagram making them quite easily, and I'm just gonna wait for the see it's the beginning this begin the it's the beginning of March now. So and I have to wait for like spring because I want to harvest some herbs for my incense cones, and I'm gonna try that. So I don't have any incense cones left. I have some sticks, and uh, I mostly use them. I rarely use them anymore. I use them sometimes outdoors, and if I use them outdoors, I don't really mind. I'm not bothered about how much of them I use. That's like for depending on the ritual purpose. If I use it indoors, I learned in like 2017 or 18 or something at the same fair but earlier from a man that sold incense that you only need to burn like a couple of centimeters, like for 3 to 5 minutes, he told me. If you're indoors, depending on the space, you can burn it for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you're good to go because it's done. It's fulfilled its purpose, and you don't have to. There's less. risk of like respiratory issues and that sort of thing. I do try to avoid incense if there's someone in the group that has like asthma or something, or if it's a space where they don't want you to light any incense. When I'm at home, I primarily use them for my full moon and new moon ceremonies, sometimes my rune ceremonies, but I rarely use it like on an everyday basis. So I like dragon blood, I like sage, I think those are the main two, but the thing is, I'm using the ones I have because I need to do more research into what brands are good. So the one that I have that are a mix of dragon blood and sage is from it's like organic and fair trade, but I don't remember the brand. And it was a gift to me. So that doesn't mean that it's better for your respiratory system. It just means that it's harvested in a good way. It's plant like the stuff used is organic and fair trade. So there's a lot to think about when using other people's stuff. So I prefer to make my own if I have the means and if I have the resources to do so. So I wanted to start with talking about the incense sticks because I think those are the most common. It's so easy to just go into a store and browse among the scents that are available, and uh, it's the same with oils, when you want to work with the oils, and that you have to know where they come from and how, it's a lot to. I want to know more about the brands that I use before I buy them. And now I still have so much left, even though it was 5 years ago, but I had a really big like storage of them. So I still have a lot of incense left to use. You should only know. And I actually recently gave away some to a friend that really was interested and hadn't tried incense before. So I have some to use up before I decide where to buy next, and I want to do my research. And most probably, I won't buy any incense sticks. I might just buy some if I find a really good brand. I might buy, but I'm gonna look into making my own incense cones. So I do use some spray. So this is like it's a bottle with a spray top with like it's this is pinon, so it's a kind of pine tree, and it contains the natural tincture of pinon and essential oil of pinon. So I like this very much, and I have a friend that makes her own. So this is her white sage. And when I talk about white sage or Palo Santo or whatever, Palo Santo I don't use because it's not native to my area, so I don't use it. And if you use Palo Santo, please look into how it's harvested. If it's not, because it's rarely harvested and grown in a good way. So for the environment, so that's why I don't use it anymore. We have something in Sweden called kärved, which is better if you want. So wherever you're from, look up your local alternatives and look into like the culture of your area and see what you can harvest on your own or what other people are harvesting and you can buy from local sources. That's way better than sending from another part of the world, and it might not even be harvested and planted in a good way. So I have friends that have their own gardens. I think I mentioned this before on this channel. And one friend, she grows her own white sage. So when I talk about white sage and using it, it's from her garden or my other friend's garden. So this one is from a friend called Madeleine. And she made this for me. So this is like a spray of white sage that I use to clear spaces. And I put some on here, uh, and then I can use this pinion because I like this pinion. So I do like this. I spray just a drop on my arm, and then I rub like this. And I take deep breaths, and then I clear my aura, my energy body. And I can also spray it on surfaces or on a cloth and then clear spaces that I'm gonna use. Like the table, I did this table on my last moon ceremony, and also the other table I also did during my last rune ceremony. I did that. So I do like sprays, but it's gonna have to be good sprays if I buy them. And this is a brand I do like, Jiri and Friends, but I think they're German, so I'm not sure if you can buy them everywhere. And then I prefer from my friends' gardens, and or if I can't make my own. And I don't have a garden. I don't even have a balcony, so I can't really grow stuff, but I can forage out in nature when the time is right. So that's what I do, and that brings me to my next topic of bundles, like incense bundles. Those are very easy to make your own. And I do have some bundles that I have bought or that has been gifted to me. So this is one that I use fairly regularly. I don't remember the plant's name. I remember it being protective and clearing energies, and that it's related to Palo Santo. But this is like 5 years old, and it burns so slowly. So if I just go back to like the incense sticks, if I use them, I light them the first thing I do, and then I open sacred space, and then I put it out. And it's kind of the same way with the bundles, that I use them for specific purposes, and I don't use them for long. So I don't like light them and then they just burn and burn and burn. When there's really almost nothing left and not a bundle anymore, I usually save them for offering ceremonies, maybe a despacho or another kind of offering ceremony where I burn them to give thanks. So when it comes to my own bundles, I do have some. So in this, I I try to store them in tin or in glass, and I do also have like a box of, it's a box from IKEA, the cheapest ones. I'm gonna show it. So this is white sage, and I actually don't I didn't make bundles. I did make bundles, but I'm out of the bundles. I but this is dried, and I use like one leaf at a time when I light this. So you don't need much at a time. So I got like this little thing full, and this is the harvest of 2022, I think, from a friend's garden. Yeah, I think it's 2022. And then there's another tin here, and this is a tin full of juniper. So it's a mix of juniper berries, juniper bark. Here's some bark. Uh, Juniper bark I found really easy to light and has the same effect as like Palo Santo. So juniper is like the Swedish equivalent of Palo Santo. It's very protective and it has clearing properties. And I prefer the bark or to make like like thin sticks like this. I can also this is like all of it. I don't want to take it up from the from the tin too much. But this is more like if I put it directly into the fire outdoors, then I can use this. Then I can put like the needles of like the juniper needles also. So this is juniper. I think my other one is also juniper. Yeah, juniper berries and juniper bark in this one as well. I use it a lot. This is the harvest of last year, so last January. So this it's March 2024 when I'm recording this, and this is from January 2023. And in Sweden, we have something called allemansrätten, and it makes it possible for us to go into the woods and we can't do everything. We can't harvest from we cannot harvest from living trees. So when I harvest from trees in the woods here in Sweden, I use I only picked ones that have been like, if there's been a branch that has fallen down, or if because there are children in Sweden as well, and they go like pulling the branches and that sort of thing, and dogs do as well, probably other animals as well. So if I look at a juniper tree and I see that there has been like a branch or two that has fallen off, and it's almost laying on the ground and has lost its color, so it has died, that branch has died, that's the one I pick, you know. I don't pick the bright green branches that are full of life, because it's against the law. So I don't do that. So this is all. So this is a big piece of bark in here, and I pull away on this and light a little piece at a time, and I usually burn incense in my big shell. And I also have these little sticks. And they burn a little bit like Palo Santo, that you burn it in one end and it burns a little bit and it glows, and there's a small like this of smoke. What's it called? I don't know. So it burns really slowly, so that's why it's taken me a year. I didn't feel the need to harvest any this year, I tell you. I prefer to harvest it around the full moon of January or February, before it bursts into new little buds. So I want it to be like before it starts to be alive again. Be alive again? Sprout? Yeah, I think that's the word I'm looking for. So I do have, so when it comes to what I do on my own, I harvest juniper, I get sage and herbs alike from my friends, and let's see what I have in here. So this is my box from IKEA. It's just like a cardboard box, which is good for storing things uh, from nature. So in here, oh, it smells amazing. It smells amazing. I think it's the one thing that I'm never gonna burn. That's smelly. That smells good. And it's the dew tree. I have some dew in here. I have some dew. This is dew. I'm gonna use it for a ceremony, but I'm not gonna use it for incense because it can be toxic. So that's something to be mindful about as well when you use incense in ceremonies and rituals, especially if you're indoors. If it's poisonous at all, toxic at all, or if it's okay, and to consider that even though it's not toxic, our lungs are not all they're not made for inhaling smoke um too much. So use it for cleansing ceremonies, for cleansing purposes, when you open sacred space, or to enhance the energies in a specific direction with a specific intention. So do that, but I don't overuse it because I don't want to inhale too much of it. And after what, the sickness that a lot of people uh, have had in the last couple of years. There's a lot of people that have had respiratory issues afterwards. And even though my partner claims he haven't had it, he does have some respiratory issues when it comes to like oils and incense. So I don't use quite as much now as I used to. So in this box I have some willow. This is willow. And I do make, this is also willow. So this is a bundle I made myself. I use either cotton or hemp string to do my bundles. And this is not bundled because I use willow. There's a ceremony, a despacho ceremony, where if I were to be in Peru, or thereby I would use cocoa leaves. Um, I I don't have access to that much bay leaves, which is the most common thing you use instead of cocoa leaves. So what I use is willow, because there's a lot of willow where I live. So I use, and so these I'm not gonna use in that purpose, but so when I harvest it for that purpose, I harvest the fallen branches with the leaves on them. Or I ask the tree, depending on if it's a private property and I know the owners, so that I can harvest from the tree, the a live tree, and I ask for the tree for permission to harvest in that purpose, and I harvest the branches, and then I let them just naturally dry, so that I get the leaves. And I have some more. So I have a couple of like 3 bundles of willow. I have two. I know I have more somewhere. This is one of my favorite herbs to use. It is heather. I think it's called heather, right? Yeah. So this is elevates your psychic abilities. So I burn it before like journeys and that sort of thing. Um, and I also burn it in the honor of Hel, so the goddess of the underworld. I use this. It's very much associated with death in a lot of ways. The In the olden days in Sweden, a lot of people said that don't bring heather in because you bring death into your home. I don't believe that. I think it was something that was said to scare people away from using the olden ways when Christianity came here. So I use heather a lot. So I harvest heather at the end of the season, and I make bundles of it. What else do I have here? This is a mix. It's dried up so much that I have to redo it. It's a mix of some herbs. So how do I do this then? Yeah, and then I have some more, even more juniper in this one. But the dew tree takes up most of the space. And then I have some rose petals in the bottom. It smells amazing. It's the mix of, so this is from the harvest of 2022, and it still smells amazing. I can smell the heather, I can smell the roses, I can smell the dew, I can smell the juniper. It's wonderful, and I can smell the willow. So when I make, okay, so this is a bit of dew. I'm not gonna put it. I usually put everything in my in my shell and just let it burn, but I'm not gonna let this burn. I'm gonna put it back in the box. Okay, so when I make the bundles, I harvest as much as I need. And then I come home or I sit outside and I take away the pieces I don't want. So it can be maybe if the tree has had some, well, if there's just pieces I don't feel like they have the right energy and whatnot, I remove those. And also if I want like a bundle with all leaves, because preferably, this is what happens when you buy stuff. It's like uh, wood. But I, when I make my own, I want mostly just the leaves. So I remove the leaves, I put them on a piece of paper, like a paper cloth, overnight, so that it becomes a bit more like like this. And then after that, I I bind them together in a ritualistic way. And it's not, I think it's a matter of taste, but if you don't do that, then this will happen when it shrinks, because this is something I did in the like ceremony. So we harvested it during a harvest like festival type of situation. And during the festival, we picked the flowers and whatnot, and then we made them into bundles. So they didn't have time to go before I bound them to get together, which made them shrink way too much. So if you let them go a bit like this, I don't know the word for it, okay? Um, before, so I try to pick or harvest the day before I'm actually gonna bundle them up. That's my biggest tip. And then I use pure cotton, preferably organic, or hemp string. Yeah, I can also use flax. I think it's called flax, right? When it's a string. I know it's called flax seeds, but you know what I'm talking about, right? I don't know if there's another word for it. So mm, yeah, I hope it's called flax. Or if you have something else that is like natural. So a natural type, because you're gonna burn it, right? You don't want it to contain any chemicals, or like don't buy like golden or silver-ish strings and bundle things up with, because you're gonna inhale that stuff later. So no chemicals, no, what's it called, rubber bands, nothing like that, because you're gonna inhale it later, maybe. Probably. The chance is high you're gonna use it in a ritual and you're gonna inhale it. Maybe not like directly from the bundle, but it's gonna be in the air, especially if you're indoors. So that's how I use incense. I don't think I have forgotten anything. I I forage and I pick stuff in my friends' gardens, and they gift me things uh, for my bundles and my incense and my herb teas and whatnot. And in my next video, I'm gonna talk about plant medicine a little bit. Um, Herbs and plant medicine. So look forward to that, my friends. So thank you so much for watching. And please let me know in the comments what you use, what incense you use, and what's local to your area. Because I am very well aware that white sage isn't native to my area. We can grow it, which my friends are uh, evidence of, but it's not natural to my area. And it's not natural. It's not something that is from my culture originally. In my culture, we use sharved or juniper for most of the ceremonies, and we use birch and willow and yeah, and like other herbs like lavender, heather, and some of those. So and I prefer to have a few plants that I use, for instance, for example, and have a close connection to their energies and their spirit, rather than fill my cabinet with 50 different and I don't use them and they're just there. So I prefer to harvest once a year or once every other year and then use up that storage because I don't our apartment isn't big, right? So this is my storage. For instance. And that's okay. I wish that all my incense sticks could fit in one of those boxes as well. They can't, but I'm not gonna buy new in a couple of years yet. So, because remember, burn them for 3 to 5 minutes each time. That's enough. I think I'm gonna burn this one now. No, if I was to have ritual, I'm gonna do it, but uh, I don't plan a ritual today. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I will see you in the next one. And please comment below if you have questions or if you want to let me know what you source locally, what you harvest, what you forage, what you use, and yeah. Be mindful of the environmental aspects when you use anything, you know, for medicinal or magical purposes. That is my best advice. So I wish you a lovely day and walk in beauty. And as I always end my videos, shingling.